Depends on the merchandise.
And in case they want to get up close and make... Leave.
One insult. Do me a small courtesy.
John?
I tried. are almost out of time.
Top of those stairs, John. Ready?
But I can hit you. Mierda.
Nothing. See you in the next life.
Hey guys, today we're diving headfirst into the stylish, bullet-riddled world of John Wick Chapter 4 after his epic fall from the Continental's roof and the death he inflicted on Winston to save himself. Our perpetually unlucky hero, John Wick, is back and somehow still breathing. We open with him punching some poor straw man into submission in the middle of a desert, looking like he's just woken up from a very long, very painful nap. He's patching himself up, but his main focus is, as always, revenge. He's got that signature John Wick grimace, which, let's be honest, is his default expression at this point. This is a passion project for me, and a like or a subscribe is the best way to show your support. So if you're on board, join the crew. If not, thanks for watching anyway.
I'm lost. That last time.
John makes his way across the sandy dunes on horseback because, you know, a cab would be far too conventional for this guy. He's heading to meet the elder of the High Table, who, let's just say, isn't exactly thrilled with John's recent life choices. The elder, looking perfectly serene in his desert tent, reminds John that he's still excommunicado, which at this point is less a status and more a lifestyle for Mr. Wick. The elder, quite frankly, looks tired of John's shenanigans, asking him what he actually wants. John, ever the eloquent speaker, says he just wants to die a peaceful death, which is a big ask when you've essentially declared war on the entire criminal underworld. The elder, being a wise man, scoffs at this because peace and John Wick are two concepts that rarely appear in the same sentence, let alone the same universe. He explains that freedom only comes through death, and John, being John, figures the only way to earn that is to take out the very top, the High Table itself. So he does what any reasonable person would do. He kills the elder, not exactly the peaceful death he was angling for, but hey, baby steps. Meanwhile, back in civilization, we check in on Winston and the Bowery King, who are also dealing with the High Table's perpetually grumpy new face, the Marquis Vincent Boney de Gramont. This guy is essentially a walking, talking rulebook who takes immense pleasure in making everyone's lives miserable. He tells Winston he needs to present John Wick's corpse, or else. Because apparently, the High Table has a strict no loose ends policy, especially if that loose end is a legendary assassin who just wiped out their elder. Winston is given a choice: kill John, or lose everything. Spoilers, Winston's not one to let a friendship get in the way of a good strategic play, even if It means orchestrating John's demise. We then zip over to the Osaka Continental, a sleek, modern fortress run by John's old friend, Shimazu Koji. The sound of traditional Japanese music fills the air, a stark contrast to the upcoming chaos. John arrives, looking like he's just survived a particularly aggressive laundry cycle, and is warmly greeted by Shimazu. The relief in Shimazu's voice is almost palpable as he welcomes his old friend. But Shimazu's daughter, Akira, the hotel concierge, gives John the side eye. She knows trouble follows this man like a particularly clingy shadow, and her father's history with him probably means bad news for their impeccably maintained hotel. The Marquis, true to his word, soon arrives to deconsecrate the Osaka Continental, bringing with him a whole army of high-table enforcers, all decked out in pristine black suits, ready to make a grand mess. The air practically crackles with impending doom, the quiet hum of the hotel about to be replaced by the rhythmic thud of bodies hitting expensive marble. Before the real fireworks start, we're introduced to Kane, a blind, impeccably dressed assassin who's just trying to live his best retired life, playing his violin on a rooftop. The Marquis, being the charming fellow he is, decides to yank Kane out of retirement by threatening his daughter. The High Table, as we all know, has a truly fantastic HR department that specializes in coercion. Kane, despite his reluctance, agrees to hunt John Wick because family, you know? It's the one thing even the most hardened assassins can ignore. His movements are precise, even without sight, hinting at the absolute master he is. You can practically hear the subtle swish of his silk suit as he moves, a silent predator. Back in Osaka, the Marquis's envoy, accompanied by a legion of henchmen, marches into the Continental, demanding to speak to John Wick. The tension in the air is so thick you could cut it with a katana, which, coincidentally, is exactly what Shimazu and Akira are getting ready to do. The hotel's usual polite greetings are replaced by a chilling silence, the calm before the storm. The Marquis's voice, cold and arrogant, echoes through the lobby's PA system, demanding John's surrender. The refusal is instant, the unspoken defiance hanging heavy in the air. This isn't just a hotel. It's a sanctuary, and Shimazu isn't about to let it be desecrated without a fight, even if that fight looks spectacularly unwinnable. And then, as expected, it all kicks off. The Marquis gives the order, and the high-table goons storm the Osaka Continental. The elegant, peaceful lobby erupts into a symphony of destruction. It's less a fight and more an artistic display of controlled chaos. John, Shimazu, and Akira, along with the loyal hotel staff, are ready, armed with everything from katanas to bows. The shink of swords being drawn is immediately followed by the thud of bodies and the clash of metal. John, of course, is a one-man wrecking crew. He's back to his old tricks, utilizing anything and everything around him as a weapon. A book, a pen, a particularly sturdy pot plant. You name it, John's probably turned it into a lethal projectile. The choreography here is just breathtaking. Every punch has a visceral crack, every block a resonant thwack. The sounds of grunts, shouts, and the metallic clang of blades fills the luxurious halls. It's a beautifully brutal ballet, with John at its center, moving with a fluid, almost impossible grace, dodging bullets and deflecting blades like it's just another Tuesday. He's taking out legions of assassins, making them regret every single career choice that led them to cross paths with him. The sheer volume of foes is overwhelming, but John's movements are economical, precise, and utterly ruthless. The entire hotel becomes a canvas for combat, with every pillar, every piece of art, every stairwell becoming a new battleground. Amidst the swirling mayhem, John comes face to face with Kane. The air crackles with anticipation. It's not just a fight. It's a reunion of old friends on opposite sides, forced into this deadly dance. Kane, despite being blind, moves with an eerie precision, using his cane to block, parry, and strike with lethal force. His katana sings through the air, creating a dangerous melody of steel. John, ever the pragmatic fighter, relies on his pistols, the bang and recoil of familiar comfort. Their exchange is a masterclass in contrasting styles. Kane's elegant, almost balletic swordplay against John's brutal, efficient gunfu. The sound of their weapons clashing, the whiz of a bullet narrowly missing, the scrape of metal on metal is intense. Kane even uses a special device that audibly detects John's movements, proving that blindness isn't a handicap when you're this much of a legend. Their fight is interrupted, however, by more high-table goons, because apparently, even old friends don't get a moment of peace when John Wick is around. They briefly team up, a silent, unspoken pact to deal with the immediate threat, before going back to their reluctant dance of death. It's a moment that highlights the complicated loyalties and brutal realities of their world, where friendship can exist alongside a contract on your head.
John? They gave you my name.
I tried. Yeah. You took a deal.
John Wick.
The battle rages on, stairwells become death traps, and corridors turn into gauntlets. John and Shimazu fight side by side, a testament to their unbreakable bond. Shimazu, an older but no less formidable warrior, is a whirlwind of katana strikes, the swoosh of his blade a constant threat, but the sheer numbers are overwhelming. Eventually, John is pinned down, facing a fatal blow from Kane. In a heartbreaking moment, Shimazu throws himself in front of John, taking Kane's sword through the chest. The gasp of the blade as it pierces him is gut-wrenching. It's a classic John Wick move. Honestly, get someone you care about killed protecting you. Akira witnesses her father's heroic, yet tragic, death, the raw anguish in her eyes. Kane, despite having fulfilled his contract, looks genuinely regretful, the weight of his actions heavy on his shoulders. The scene is saturated with a sense of loss, a chilling reminder of the High Table's ruthless reach and the sacrifices demanded. John, reeling from the loss of another friend, makes his escape, the taste of vengeance now even stronger. Akira, consumed by grief and fury, whispers a vow of revenge against Kane, her voice trembling but resolute. The thump of her father's body hitting the ground echoes in the now shattered silence of the once grand hotel lobby. It's a grim conclusion to the Osaka arc, leaving a trail of bodies and broken promises. With Shimazu gone, the Osaka Continental is well and truly compromised. John, after a brief, silent moment of shared grief with Akira over her father's body, knows he can't stay. He makes his exit through the chaotic, burning ruins of the hotel, the crackle of flames and the whiz of stray bullets providing the soundtrack to his escape. Akira, left alone with her father's corpse and a mountain of resentment, is not about to let Kane get away with it. Her final glance at John is a mix of sorrow and fierce determination, a silent promise of future retribution. Meanwhile, the Marquis is busy making an example of Winston, publicly executing his longtime concierge, Karen, right in front of him. The cold, calculated crack of the gunshot that ends Karen's life is a stark, brutal punctuation mark, reinforcing the high table's absolute power and ruthlessness. Winston, naturally, doesn't even flinch, but the silent fury in his eyes is palpable. He's a man who understands consequences, and he's just seen the ultimate one. The Marquis's actions are a clear message: defy the high table and suffer. This act of barbarism fuels Winston's strategic mind, subtly shifting his allegiance, or at least his methodology, in this never-ending war. John, now even more motivated to dismantle the high table, learns that the only way to challenge the Marquis to a duel is by being reinstated into his family, the Ruska Roma. Unfortunately, the Ruska Roma is currently under the thumb of a rather unsavory character named Killa Harkin, a portly, gold-toothed high-ranking member of the German table. Killer is, shall we say, less than cooperative. So John does what he does best. He hunts Killa down in a pumping, neon-drenched Berlin nightclub. The thump-thump of the bass is so intense it practically vibrates through the screen, making for a truly disorienting setting for a showdown. It's a fantastic contrast. This elegant, almost classical assassin stalking his prey through a very modern, very loud den of hedonism. The visual cues of John moving through the strobe lights are just magnificent. You can almost feel the sticky floor and the humid air of the club, a perfect backdrop for the ensuing chaos. The Marquis, meanwhile, raises the bounty on John's head to a whopping $40 million because, you know, apparently money talks, and in this world, it screams. This makes John an even bigger target than usual, attracting every ambitious hitman and bounty hunter from across the globe, all salivating at the prospect of taking down the legendary Baba Yaga. The stakes just keep getting higher, which, for John Wick, is pretty much Tuesday. The Berlin club fight scene is an absolute masterclass in controlled mayhem. John, now joined by his silent but deadly ally, the Tracker or Mr. Nobody, navigates through the pulsing crowd like a shark through chum. Every corner, every shadow holds a new threat. The bass beat provides a relentless, almost hypnotic rhythm to the violence. John pulls out his trusty pistols, and the bang-bang-bang of gunfire is somehow absorbed by the music, making the sudden muzzle flashes even more jarring. He's not just shooting, he's fighting, moving, adapting. The highlight, of course, is the sequence where John uses a variety of axes, deflecting, throwing, and burying them into his opponents with brutal efficiency. The thud of metal into flesh is sickeningly precise. He's in a constant struggle, pushing, pulling, and spinning through the throngs of people. The camera work here is phenomenal, often pulling back to give a wide, sweeping view of the sheer number of bodies in motion, then diving back in for intimate, bone-crunching close-ups. It's an exhausting, relentless sequence that perfectly captures the feeling of being overwhelmed, but never outmatched. John's movements are a blend of martial arts and raw, animalistic fury, a dance of death set to a pounding techno beat. He's taking a beating, but he's dishing out even more, his determination etched onto his tired face. John finally corners Killa in a VIP area that's inexplicably flooded with water, because apparently a rave isn't a rave without a good puddle fight. Killa, despite his bulk, is surprisingly agile and deceptively strong. The splash of water with every punch, every kick, every body slam adds a dynamic, almost surreal quality to the fight. John is taking a beating, getting thrown around by Killa's sheer force, but as always, John Wick finds a way. He uses the environment, the water itself, to his advantage, blinding Killa, slipping and sliding. The Tracker, watching from a distance, is content to let John do all the heavy lifting, only stepping in to protect his dog, a fierce Belgian Malinois, from being harmed. He's playing the long game, waiting for the bounty to increase because, apparently, loyalty comes with a dynamic price tag in this world. The Tracker, seeing John's sheer resilience, eventually makes a deal. He'll let John go if John helps him increase the bounty even further by killing Killa. It's a transactional relationship, but one built on mutual respect for each other's deadly competence. John, of course, obliges, finally putting an end to Killa's reign with a brutal, satisfying series of maneuvers. The gurgle as Killa finally goes down is a clear sign that John is not to be trifled with. With Killa eliminated, John secures his reinstatement into the Ruska Roma, a crucial step in his plan to challenge the High Table directly. He's one step closer to getting his chance at freedom, or at least a proper nap back in Paris. Winston and the Bowery King, now united by their shared hatred for the Marquis, hatch a plan. Winston, ever the chess master, reveals his true intentions, not to help the High Table, but to use their rules against them, specifically the archaic tradition of a duel to the death. He explains how John can formally challenge the Marquis. The Bowery King, always ready for a good fight, agrees to help, bringing his network of informants and muscle to the table. The whisper of their plans, hushed and conspiratorial, builds a palpable tension. We then see John approaching Katya, a high-ranking member of the Ruska Roma, now located in Berlin. The sounds of a bustling, vibrant Romani community fill the air, a stark contrast to the sterile High Table environments. Katya, who initially refuses John's request for re-entry, citing his past transgressions against the High Table, eventually agrees to grant him an audience, but not before putting him through a trial by fire. This isn't just about family. It's about proving his worth, his loyalty, and his utter willingness to suffer for his cause. The test, as expected, is brutal and unforgiving, a true display of John's resilience. It's a reminder that even among his own, nothing comes easy for John Wick. Katya's trial for John isn't just a friendly spar. It's a full-on, no-holds-barred beatdown designed to test his physical and mental fortitude. John is stripped of his usual arsenal and forced to endure a gauntlet of attacks from multiple Ruska Roma enforcers, the thud of bare knuckles on flesh, the grunt of pain, and the whish of his staff are all amplified, making every hit feel agonizingly real. He's taking brutal strikes, getting tossed around, but through sheer willpower and his stubborn refusal to stay down, he pushes through. This sequence highlights his incredible pain tolerance and his almost supernatural ability to keep fighting, even when completely overwhelmed. It's a reminder that John Wick isn't just a skilled fighter. He's a force of nature driven by an unyielding spirit. Katya watches impassively, scrutinizing his every move, every flinch, looking for any sign of weakness. Satisfied by his unwavering resolve, she agrees to reinstate him. This is a crucial moment, as it grants him the right to formally challenge the Marquis to a duel. The stakes just went from really high to stratospheric. John is officially back in the High Table's game, but this time, he's playing for keeps, ready to exploit their own convoluted rules against them. The silence that follows his acceptance is heavy, laden with the weight of the choices made and the battles yet to come. With his reinstatement confirmed, John, accompanied by Winston and the Bowery King, formally challenges the Marquis to a duel under the archaic rules of the High Table. The setting is suitably grand and opulent, a stark contrast to John's usual bullet-ridden back alleys. The Marquis, ever the arrogant peacock, accepts, clearly believing he has the upper hand. He chooses the weapons, the location sacred, of course, because nothing says duel to the death like a picturesque Parisian landmark and the conditions. The Marquis, in his infinite wisdom, also assigns Kane as his second, forcing Kane to participate in this deadly game, once again leveraging his daughter's life as collateral. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with one of Kane's katanas. John, despite the impossible odds stacked against him, maintains his steely gaze, his face a mask of grim determination. He's not just fighting for his freedom, he's fighting for the very principle of defiance against the High Table. The click of the official seal on the challenge document seals John's fate, setting the stage for the ultimate showdown. It's a beautifully shot scene, steeped in formality, and the cold, unfeeling power of the High Table, a bureaucracy that runs on blood and contracts. Winston gives John a subtle, almost imperceptible nod, a silent acknowledgement of the monumental task ahead. It's a moment of calm before the storm, a quiet acknowledgement of the brutal path John has chosen. The Marquis, being the utter joy that he is, isn't content to just wait for the duel. He raises the bounty on John's head to a staggering $40 million, then $42 million, then $45 million, broadcasting it across the criminal underworld. The sound of this ever-increasing bounty, like a siren call to every assassin in Paris, is delivered with smug relish over the city's pirate radio stations, the static and crackle adding to the urgency. This effectively turns the entire city of Paris into a giant, open-world video game level, with John Wick as the ultimate boss everyone wants to take down. The scene cuts to a flurry of activity, assassins everywhere, from street thugs to seasoned professionals, all scrambling to get a piece of the legendary Baba Yaga. The sheer scale of the hunt is terrifying. John has to make it to Soccer by sunrise for the duel, a task that now seems utterly impossible. The city lights of Paris, usually romantic, now shimmer with danger, every shadow a potential assassin. This sequence is a masterclass in building tension and demonstrating the sheer, overwhelming odds John faces. He's not just fighting, he's surviving, every step a calculated risk. The sounds of distant sirens, the muffled thud of a car door closing, and the subtle clink of weapons being ready create a palpable sense of impending doom. He's a ghost in the machine, moving through the bustling Parisian night, every step taking him closer to an inevitable confrontation. As John attempts to navigate the treacherous streets of Paris, he's immediately ambushed. Car chases erupt, the screech of tires and the thump of impacts echoing through the night. John, ever resourceful, uses his car as a battering ram and a shield, deflecting bullets and plowing through obstacles with brutal efficiency. The tracker, with his trusty dog, is also on John's trail, but he's not just trying to kill him. He's playing a cunning game, deliberately interfering to keep John alive just long enough for the bounty to keep increasing, maximizing his payout. It's a darkly humorous, yet utterly ruthless strategy. The dog, an incredibly well-trained Belgian Malinois, is also a formidable weapon, snapping and attacking with ferocious loyalty to his owner. Every corner John turns, he finds another wave of assassins emerging from the Parisian shadows like a particularly aggressive fashion show. The gunfights are chaotic and close quarters, a cacophony of gunshots, ricochets, and the smash of glass. John's movements are getting more desperate, more fatigued, but his will remains unbroken. The sheer volume of attackers is astounding, making his continued survival a testament to his legend. He's essentially running a marathon through a minefield, with every second counting down to sunrise. The absolute highlight of the Parisian gauntlet is the infamous Arc de Triomphe roundabout sequence. This is where the movie truly kicks into overdrive. John is caught in a swirling vortex of cars, motorcycles, and assassins all converging on him. The camera work, often from an overhead perspective, captures the insane ballet of destruction as vehicles crash, spin, and explode around him. The crunch of metal, the shattering of glass, and the relentless bang 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 of gunfire create a dizzying, overwhelming sensory experience. John, somehow, is still largely on foot for this part, weaving through traffic, using cars as cover, and taking down enemies with brutal precision. He's using shotguns, pistols, and even a well-placed kick to send an attacker into oncoming traffic. It's a symphony of chaos, a beautifully orchestrated massacre set against one of Paris's most iconic landmarks. The sheer number of bad guys is almost comical, like the entire assassin guild decided to have a picnic in the middle of a freeway and John Wick rudely interrupted it. He's fighting his way through a human tide, his movements fueled by adrenaline and sheer, bloody-minded determination. You can practically feel the whine from the passing cars, the heat of the explosions, and the exhaustion setting in. It's a jaw-dropping sequence that redefines what a car chase can be. Just when you think the movie can't get any wilder, we get the incredible top-down apartment sequence. The camera hovers above, giving us a bird's-eye view of John methodically clearing rooms, firing his devastating dragon's breath shotgun. The whoosh of the fiery projectiles and the scream of his enemies as they burst into flames create a truly unique and terrifying visual. It's like watching a deadly, ultra-violent video game from a God mode perspective. The sheer innovation of the cinematography here is astounding, turning what could have been a standard shootout into something truly artistic and memorable. John's movements are precise, almost surgical, as he systematically eliminates threat after threat. The tracker is still lurking, strategically shooting at John to keep the bounty active, yet never delivering a killing blow. It's a hilarious cat and mouse game, with John as the cat and the tracker playing the most dangerous kind of mouse. Kane also makes an appearance, still reluctantly on the Marquis's payroll, engaging John in another quick, brutal skirmish. The constant pressure, the never-ending stream of attackers, and the looming deadline of sunrise all contribute to the overwhelming sense of urgency. John is taking heavy damage, but his focus remains razor-sharp, his gaze fixed on the goal. Saker. After an extended, brutal fight, John is finally thrown from a high window of the apartment building, landing with a sickening thud on a parked car below. The impact is visibly devastating, a cacophony of crashing metal and shattering glass. He's clearly injured, his body screaming in protest, but the old dog just won't stay down. As he recovers, barely able to move, the Bowery Kings network steps in, providing crucial support. They pick John up, patching him up just enough to keep him going, a brief respite in the relentless onslaught. This small moment of aid is a crucial reminder that John isn't entirely alone, that he has allies, even if they're often operating in the shadows. The sound of their hushed voices, the quick, efficient movements of the medics, provide a brief moment of calm amidst the storm. The Marquis, meanwhile, is still relentlessly pursuing John, sending his main enforcer, Chidi, to finish the job. Chidi is a relentless, brutal fighter, a true force of nature, and he's hot on John's trail. The tension builds with every passing minute as John, now a barely functioning wreck, continues his desperate push towards Saker. The clock is ticking and the sun is beginning to peek over the horizon, casting a golden, yet ominous, glow over the city of Paris. Finally, John arrives at the foot of the monumental, impossibly long staircase leading up to Saker Basilica. It's a visually stunning, yet utterly daunting, challenge. The sun is just starting to rise, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, making the task even more epic. John, already a walking casualty ward, has to climb all 222 steps before sunrise to make his duel. Of course, the Marquis has posted dozens, if not hundreds, of assassins along the staircase, turning it into the ultimate gauntlet. It's less a staircase and more a vertical battleground. The thump-thump of John's heavy, dragging footsteps is interspersed with the snapping of bullets and the clink of metal. He starts his ascent, his movements slow and agonizing, but his determination unwavering. Each step is a struggle, each landing a potential death trap. This sequence is a masterclass in making the audience feel John's pain and exhaustion. You can almost feel the burning in his muscles, the shallow breaths, the sheer will required to keep going. The sheer scale of the opposition is overwhelming, but John, ever the stubborn legend, pushes forward, one agonizing step at a time. The sound design is fantastic, emphasizing every effort, every grunt, every blow. It's less a fight scene and more a trial of endurance. The staircase fight is absolutely relentless. John is fighting his way up, using every ounce of strength he has left. He's dodging, weaving, shooting, and punching, taking down assassins with his usual brutal efficiency, but the numbers are just too great. He finally reaches a point where he's almost at the top, only to be confronted by Chidi and a fresh wave of enforcers. In a particularly brutal moment, Chidi delivers a massive kick that sends John tumbling, rolling, and slamming down the entire length of the 222 steps. The thud of his body hitting each step is excruciating to watch, a symphony of broken bones and bruised ego. He lands at the bottom, a broken mess, battered and bruised, looking utterly defeated. It's a gut-wrenching moment, reinforcing the near-impossible odds he faces. But just when all hope seems lost, a voice calls out. It's Cain, reluctantly, but decisively, stepping in to help his old friend. He's had enough of the Marquis's games and has decided that a common enemy makes for an excellent temporary alliance. The tracker, seeing the bounty about to expire if John dies before the duel, also intervenes, bringing his dog to the fight. Together, this unlikely trio of reluctant allies begins to fight their way back up the stairs, a desperate, last-ditch effort against the overwhelming high table forces. The sound of Cain's cane tapping against the stone, the dog's ferocious growls, and John's grunts of effort as he struggles back to his feet underscore this desperate push. It's a truly iconic cinematic moment, full of dramatic tension and unexpected camaraderie. With the combined, albeit reluctant, efforts of Cain and the tracker, John finally makes it to the top of the stairs. Just as the sun fully crests the horizon, he's a bloody, bruised mess, barely able to stand, but he made it. Cain, surprisingly, stays by his side, ready to fulfill his role as John's second. The tracker, satisfied that the bounty conditions are met, pulls back, his loyal dog at his side. The Marquis and his entourage, looking pristine and smug, await them at the summit. The contrast between John's beaten, blooded appearance and the Marquis's immaculate suit couldn't be starker. The Marquis, in his usual condescending tone, outlines the rules of the duel. It's a formal affair, complete with an adjudicator and specific weapon choices. He's utterly confident in his victory, gloating about John's apparent exhaustion. The tension in the air is palpable, the whisper of the wine the only sound breaking the silence. John, despite his injuries, stands tall, his eyes still burning. With defiance, this isn't just a fight, it's a symbolic battle for his very soul, for his freedom from the oppressive rules of the high table. He knows this is his last chance, his final gamble. The sun shines brightly on the duel arena, a beautiful, yet deadly, stage for this epic confrontation. The click of the first pistol being loaded signals the start of the end. The duel commences. John and Cain, old friends, now forced to face each other in a formal dance of death. They start with pistols, taking turns firing at specified distances. The rules meticulously observed, the crack of each gunshot echoes across the Parisian skyline, a stark sound against the beautiful dawn. Cain, despite his blindness, uses his heightened senses and an almost preternatural awareness to fire with incredible accuracy, his movements minimal and precise. John, battered and bruised, struggles but manages to hold his own, fueled by pure adrenaline and stubbornness. Neither man wants to kill the other, but the high table's rules demand it. The Marquis, of course, is loving every second of this, watching with a smug, almost gleeful expression, savoring John's suffering. After several rounds of pistol fire, with both men sustaining injuries, the weapons switch to blades. The shank of steel being drawn is followed by a furious exchange of swordplay. Cain's katana is a blur, his blind fighting style making him unpredictable and deadly. John, though a master of various weapons, finds himself at a disadvantage against Cain's specialized blade work. The clang of their weapons, the whoosh of air as they parry, creates an intense, visceral experience. It's a beautiful, brutal ballet, full of respect and sorrow. Each move is precise, a testament to their skill, but also a tragic reflection of the choices forced upon them. The weight of their past and the grim reality of their present hangs heavy in the air. The duel continues, back to pistols, both John and Cain now severely wounded. John is clearly losing, barely able to stand, his body racked with pain. Cain, with a heavy heart, manages to land a seemingly fatal shot, incapacitating John. The thud as John collapses to the ground is final, seemingly signaling the end of his epic struggle. The Marquis, true to his arrogant, conniving nature, then steps forward, ready to deliver the final, killing blow himself, taking credit for John's demise. He revels in his moment of triumph, his face a picture of smug satisfaction. But John Wick, as we all know, always has one more trick up his sleeve. Winston, watching from the sidelines, gives John a subtle, almost imperceptible nod, a signal that only they would understand. And in a stunning, unexpected move, John reveals that he hadn't fired his final shot. With a surge of his last remaining strength, he raises his arm, a tiny, concealed pistol in his hand, and delivers a headshot to the Marquis. The crack of the pistol, sudden and decisive, shatters the morning's quiet, followed by the thud of the Marquis's body hitting the ground. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated cinematic genius, a perfectly executed plot twist that brings the whole convoluted high table rulebook crumbling down. The gasps of the onlookers, the sudden silence, all contribute to the epic nature of this moment. John Wick, against all odds, has one dot with the Marquis dead and the duel won. John Wick is finally free. But freedom comes at a cost, and for John, that cost is his life. Gravely wounded, he slowly makes his way down the steps of Soccer, each step a monumental effort. Kane watches him go, a silent farewell to a friend he was forced to fight. John pauses, sitting on the steps, bathed in the beautiful glow of the sunrise he fought so hard to see. He looks at the horizon, a faint smile gracing his lips, and quietly whispers his wife's name, Helen. It's a poignant, heartbreaking moment, the culmination of his journey. The sigh of his last breath is almost inaudible, a quiet departure for a man whose life was anything but. His head slumps and he finally finds the peace he so desperately sought. Winston, always one step ahead, arranges for John's body to be moved. It's a quiet, respectful moment, a final act of friendship and loyalty. The legend of John Wick may have ended, but his impact, his defiance, will undoubtedly resonate through the high tables world for generations to come. The rustle of his trench coat as he's carried away marks the end of an era. We then cut to John Wick's simple gravesite. The headstone reads Jonathan Wick, with the epitaph loving husband, a beautiful and heartbreaking tribute to the man he truly was, beneath all the bullets and blood. Winston and the Bowery King stand by the grave, two unlikely companions, united in their respect for the fallen legend. The Bowery King places John's iconic dog tag on the headstone, a silent acknowledgement of his legacy. The tracker and his faithful dog are also present, paying their respects, the dog even urinating on the grave, which, in dog language, is probably the highest honor you can bestow upon a fallen comrade. Winston, in a moment of quiet reflection, acknowledges John's achievement. He tells the Bowery King that John is home, finally at peace with Helen. It's a bittersweet ending, but one that offers a sense of closure. The high table, of course, is still out there, but John's actions have irrevocably changed the game. The swish of the wind through the trees, the chirp of birds, all underscore the quiet solemnity of the moment. It's the final resting place for a man who deserved peace, even if he had to fight the entire world to get it. The ending leaves us with a sense of the vastness of the world John navigated and the legacy he leaves behind. The world keeps turning, but it's forever altered by the legend of Baba Yaga.
This is suicide.
Fighting is your...
Then we're diving headfirst into the sleek, brutal world of Ballerina, the much-anticipated spin-off set in the John Wick universe. We'll follow the high-heeled, high-kicking path of Rooney, brilliantly brought to life by Ana de Armas, as she navigates a world where every ply could lead to a fatality. This isn't just about elegant dance. It's about the dance of death, the intricate choreography of revenge, and the surprisingly poignant search for identity within a shadowy syndicate. Rooney's story is a whirlwind of precision and punishment, a masterclass in making bad guys regret their life choices, usually with extreme prejudice. This is a passion project for me, and a like or a subscribe is the best way to show your support. So if you're on board, join the crew. If not, thanks for watching anyway. Our story kicks off not with a bang, but with the quiet, determined scrape of a ballet slipper on a worn studio floor. We're introduced to a young Rooney. Years before she became the apex predator we know, the scene is drenched in a muted palette, a visual metaphor for her life's early struggles, yet her movements are fluid, almost ethereal. We see her pushing through the pain, a stark contrast between the delicate art form and the harsh reality of her surroundings. The sound of her steady breathing is almost meditative, a combi for the storm that's about to engulf her world. It's clear, even then, she was destined for something more than just the stage.
Marry a daughter of... You took what would atone for your trap. You trying to... Yeah, necessary. Well placed. It's neither good. Reveals his true character. Wanted choices. And your daughter lives.
The serene image of Rooney's dedication is shattered with the sudden, jarring cut to a scene of absolute devastation. We find her, a bit older now, but still innocent, returning to what she thought was the sanctuary of her home. The air is thick with an unnatural silence, the kind that screams something is terribly wrong even before you see it. The camera slowly tracks her cautious steps, the faint creak of the floorboards amplifying the tension. Then the horror unfolds. Her family, her entire world, has been brutally wiped out. The once vibrant colors of their home are now stained crimson, the wreckage a testament to a savage attack. The metallic tang of blood hangs heavy, almost palpable. The scene is a masterclass in quiet terror, the lack of immediate screaming making the discovery even more chilling. Rooney's expression shifts from hopeful anticipation to absolute, gut-wrenching despair in a matter of heartbeats. The soft thud of her knees hitting the ground echoes the shattering of her spirit. It's a cruel, visceral awakening, where the innocence she once held is violently stripped away, replaced by a cold, burning ember of revenge. We see her hand tremble as she picks up a small, broken toy, a relic of a life that was just brutally snatched away. The sheer weight of the silence after the onslaught is deafening, leaving only the sound of her ragged breaths and the echo of what was talk about a bad day at the office, or, you know, at home. Fast forward a few years, and the girl we knew is gone, replaced by a silhouette of steel and resolve. Rooney, now a woman honed by grief and a relentless pursuit of answers, steps into the hallowed, surprisingly cozy halls of the Continental Hotel, the familiar tinkling of the bell as she enters, the hushed murmur of the impeccably dressed clientele. It's all there, setting the stage for her meeting with the man who knows all the secrets, Winston. He's found in his usual perch, a study in suave, sipping his tea with an air of detached wisdom. The conversation is measured, each word weighty, a chess game played with lives. Winston, with his usual theatrical flair, confirms what Rooney already suspected: her family's brutal end wasn't random. It was a calculated hint, deeply entwined with the intricate web of the Ruska Roma and, by extension, the high table. The quiet clinking of the teacup against the saucer provides a stark, almost ironic contrast to the deadly implications of their discussion. He doesn't offer comfort, but a cold, hard truth. Vengeance comes at a price, and the rules of this world are absolute. The air crackles with unspoken history, the echoes of countless deals and assassinations reverberating through the opulent hotel lobby. Rooney's jaw is set, a silent testament to her unwavering purpose. You can almost feel the chill emanating from her determination. She's not here for a spa day. She's here for a kill list. With Winston's cryptic breadcrumbs tucked away, Rooney's journey for retribution truly begins, leading her across continents to the romantic, yet equally brutal, streets of Paris. We find her in a narrow, rain-slicked alleyway, the kind of place where even the shadows have secrets. Her target? A sniveling, low-level informant who clearly bit off more than he could chew. The scene erupts into a whirlwind of controlled chaos. Rooney doesn't just fight. She dances, each movement a deadly pirouette, each strike a precise, bone-jarring impact. The sound of her leather jacket rustling as she moves is almost a premonition of pain for her unfortunate adversaries. Punches land with a sickening thud, kicks connect with the audible crack of bone against concrete. The metallic clang of a dropped pipe echoes off the ancient stone walls. She uses the environment with deadly efficiency, slamming one thug's head into a vintage Parisian street map, the glass shattering with a satisfying crunch, a clear visual metaphor for her breaking through the layers of deceit. The informant, now looking significantly worse for wear, spills his guts, not out of loyalty, but out of sheer, unadulterated terror. The rain lashes down, cleansing the blood from the cobblestones, but not the stain from Rooney's soul. It's a brutal, balletic display of her lethal grace, proving she's not just a dancer, but a devastating instrument of vengeance. Honestly, I wouldn't want to be on her dance card. The trail of blood-soaked breadcrumbs leads Rooney deep into the heart of the Parisian underworld, an exclusive, clandestine club, pulsating with neon lights and the hushed, dangerous whispers of the high table's elite. The bass thrums through the floor, a constant, unsettling heartbeat to the illicit dealings unfolding within. Rooney, now cloaked in a stunning, form-fitting black dress, moves with the predatory grace of a panther, virtually invisible amidst the swirling crowd. She's less about blending in and more about being overlooked until it's too late. From a shadowed balcony, she surveys the scene, her eyes cutting through the haze of cigar smoke and expensive perfume, scanning faces for her next piece of the puzzle. The clinking of glasses, the soft rustle of silk, the low hum of conversation, all backdrop to the palpable tension. She spots her mark, a sleazy, impeccably dressed figure who just won a huge pot at a high-stakes poker game, his smug smile a beacon for Rooney's wrath. The scene masterfully blends glamour with grime, the danger lurking just beneath the surface of the opulence. You can almost feel the static electricity in the air, a prelude to the storm she's about to unleash. This isn't a place for casual drinks, it's a hunting ground, and Rooney is the apex predator. Seriously, anyone else feel the sudden urge to upgrade their evening wear? And just like that, the quiet observation gives way to explosive, beautifully choreographed mayhem. Rooney, with a single, decisive move, flips the ornate poker table, sending cards, chips, and expensive liquor flying in a dazzling spray. The crash of the table is like a gunshot, silencing the club for a split second before pandemonium erupts. This isn't just a fight. It's a brutal dance, a solo performance where every pirouette ends in a broken limb or a swift, decisive kill. She moves with a fluidity that belies the sheer force behind her strikes. The crack of a bodyguard's jaw, the sickening thud of a knife finding its mark, the sharp gasp of air from a collapsing lung. Every sound is amplified, visceral. She's a whirlwind of lethal grace, using high heels as daggers, a champagne bottle as a bludgeon, and the very floor as a springboard for her devastating kicks. The strobe lights flash, creating a disorienting, almost cinematic effect, each flicker highlighting a moment of brutal efficiency. You can almost feel the concussive force of her blows, the slickness of blood on the polished floor, the roar of the crowd turning into screams of terror. She's a force of nature, utterly unstoppable, a one-woman demolition crew in an evening gown. It's the kind of fight scene that makes you glad you just watched it, rather than, being in it. The aftermath of the club is a blood-soaked tapestry of destruction, but Rooney isn't sticking around for cleanup duty. Her target, the smug poker player, is taken care of, but now she's got a fresh set of problems, a legion of high-table operatives swarming the building, The scene transitions seamlessly into a heart-stopping rooftop chase across the rain-slit, ancient rooftops of Paris. The wind whips at her hair, the chilling whisper of bullets whistling past her ear a constant companion. She leaps, bounds, and slides across precarious ledges, each movement a testament to her incredible agility and raw athleticism. The camera work here is dizzying, putting you right there with her, feeling the cold spray of the rain and the dizzying heights. You can practically taste the metallic tang of adrenaline in the air. The crackle of walkie-talkies from her pursuers, the frantic shouts, and the relentless pounding of their boots create a symphony of desperation. One particularly harrowing jump across a wide, dark gap between buildings has your heart in your throat, the sickening sound of her boots skidding on the wet tiles just before she lands solid. It's a breathtaking ballet of survival, a high-wire act where one wrong step means certain death. She's a blur against the glittering city lights, a dark angel of vengeance taking flight. Just try not to slip on the moss up there, right? Bruised, battered, but unbroken, Rooney makes her way back to the one place that offers a semblance of neutrality and safety, the Continental. The silent, ever-observant Karen, a beacon of calm amidst the chaos, is there to greet her. No questions asked, no judgment cast, just the unwavering professionalism that defines his character. He's standing by a gleaming white marble statue, almost like a statue himself, unwavering. He wordlessly offers her a fresh change of clothes, a small bag of medical supplies, and a quiet, almost imperceptible nod towards a specific, ancient-looking book on a nearby table. It's not just a book, it's a discreet piece of intel, a coded message or a hidden map, a lifeline in her deadly quest. The rustle of the new fabric against her skin is a small comfort, a moment of respite from the grime and blood of her recent battles. The scene is a masterclass in unspoken communication, the deep understanding between those who navigate this brutal world. The gentle clink of ice in a distant glass is the loudest sound, emphasizing the hushed reverence for the Continentals. Rules, it's a much-needed pause for Rooney, a chance to patch up her physical wounds, even if the deeper ones remain. Seriously, Karen always knows what you need before you do, like a highly trained, silent butler of assassins. Hire him for your next party. Armed with Karen's subtle intel, Rooney's investigation takes a deeply personal turn, leading her to a dilapidated, abandoned ballet studio, a ghost of her past. Inside, she finds Svetlana, a former mentor, now a shell of her former self, drowning in regret and faded glory. The air is thick with the scent of dust and old memories, a poignant echo of a time before the bloodshed. Rooney doesn't mince words, her voice a low, dangerous growl. The confrontation is tense, raw, an emotional ballet of accusation and confession. The quiet click of an old, broken music box in the corner only adds to the unsettling atmosphere. Svetlana, finally broken by Rooney's relentless pursuit, confesses to a long-standing betrayal, a conspiracy that reaches deep into the heart of the Ruska Roma. It turns out her own trusted mentor was involved in the orchestration of her family's annihilation, a devastating twist of the knife. The crumpled, faded photograph Rooney holds, depicting a younger, happier version of herself with Svetlana, crinkles under her tightening grip, a symbol of broken trust. The weight of this revelation crashed down, replacing her anger with a cold, terrifying resolve. The betrayal wasn't external. It was from within, a viper nurtured in the very garden of her childhood. You know, just when you thought it couldn't get any more complicated, family drama hits different when assassins are involved. With the shocking truth of Svetlana's betrayal fueling her fire, Rooney enters a phase of intense, almost feverish preparation. What follows is a visually stunning training montage, a symphony of sweat, steel, and unyielding determination. We see her pushing her body to its absolute limits, transforming her grief into raw power. The rhythmic thud of her fists against a heavy bag, the metallic clang of katanas clashing against practiced swords, the sharp crack of a sniper rifle being expertly loaded. Every sound is an affirmation of her renewed commitment. She fluidly transitions between balletic stretches and brutal close-quarters combat, intertwining the grace of a dancer with the lethal precision of an assassin. The camera captures every strained muscle, every bead of sweat, every flicker of fierce resolve in her eyes. There's a sequence where she disarms multiple opponents with blinding speed, her movements a blur of controlled aggression. You can almost feel the burning ache in her muscles, the rapid beat of her heart as she pushes past pain. This isn't just about getting stronger, it's about becoming an unstoppable force, a ghost of vengeance. She's not just preparing for a fight, she's preparing for a war, and she's sculpting herself into the perfect weapon. Seriously, her workout routine puts my walking to the fridge routine to shame. Big time. Her training complete, Rooney is a sharpened blade, ready to cut deep. Her next target is a sniveling informant, the kind who deals in information as easily as he breathes. We find him in a desolate, refuse-strewn alley, bathed in the dim, flickering glow of a lone street lamp. The air is cold, biting, almost mirroring the chill in Rooney's heart. She approaches with the silent precision of a shadow, her footsteps making no sound on the grimy cobblestones. The scene is a masterclass in tension and quiet violence. With a horrifying elegance, she produces a thin, almost invisible piano wire. The way it gleams under the street lamp is chilling, a silent harbinger of doom. The target barely registers her presence before the wire is around his throat, pulled taut with brutal efficiency. There's no struggle, no scream, just a choked gasp, a desperate clawing at air, and then silence. The thud of his body hitting the ground is barely audible, swallowed by the oppressive quiet of the alley. It's a swift, surgical execution, a stark reminder that Rooney doesn't just eliminate threats, she erases them. The scene emphasizes the cold, calculating side of her vengeance, a necessary evil in her quest. You can almost feel the life drain out of the scene, leaving only the metallic tang of an ending. This is not a drill, folks. This is professional problem solving. The path of vengeance now leads directly to the heart of the serpent, the sprawling, heavily fortified stronghold of the Syndicate. This isn't just a building, it's a fortress, a gleaming skyscraper that seems to mock the city lights with its impenetrable facade. Rooney's infiltration is a masterclass in audacity and precision. We see her, a lone figure, rappelling down the sheer glass face of the building, her movements fluid and controlled, defying gravity with an almost supernatural grace. The wind whips at her, threatening to throw her off course, but her grip is iron strong. The dizzying height is palpable, a constant thrumming anxiety in the pit of your stomach. The whirring of the rappelling gear, the faint creak of the rope, these are the only sounds in the vast, silent ascent. She expertly bypasses motion sensors and laser grids, each movement calculated to perfection, her fingers dancing across keypads. With silent efficiency, the blinking red lights of security cameras seem to track her every move, but she's always one step ahead, a ghost in the machine. This isn't about brute force, it's about outsmarting the enemy, slipping through their defenses like water. The tension is almost unbearable, a constant hum of impending discovery. You can almost feel the cold steel of the building against her gloved hands, the chill of the night air on her face. Seriously, my knees are weak just watching her do this. I'd need a parachute and maybe a sandwich. Once inside, the real fun begins. Or, depending on your perspective, the real terror. Rooney finds herself in a labyrinth of sterile, corporate corridors, each one seemingly guarded by an endless supply of highly trained, highly unfortunate security personnel. The scene explodes into a relentless barrage of close-quarters combat. The fluorescent lights hum, casting harsh shadows that dance with every bone-shattering impact. The sharp crack of her elbow connecting with the guard's temple, the muffled grunt as a fist finds its mark, the sickening snap of a wrist. These are the sounds of Rooney's progression. She uses the environment with deadly ingenuity. A discarded office chair becomes a brutal weapon, incapacitating two guards in one swift, crushing motion. Filing cabinets become shields and launching pads. The very walls become part of her deadly ballet. The speed and fluidity of her movements are breathtaking, a testament to her unique blend of dance and combat. She's a one-woman storm, cutting through the Syndicate's defenses with surgical precision. The air is thick with grunts, groans, and the frantic thud of bodies hitting the floor. It's a relentless, claustrophobic ballet of destruction, leaving a trail of unconscious or worse bodies in her wake. This isn't just a fight, it's a statement, written in blood and shattered glass. And let's be honest, who knew an office chair could be so versatile? Through a gauntlet of guards and shattered glass, Rooney finally reaches the nerve center of the Syndicate, the opulent, yet chillingly sterile, office of the director. The reveal is a gut punch. The director is a powerful, elderly woman, impeccably dressed, her eyes like chips of ice, holding herself with an air of cruel authority. But the real shocker, she's not just a figure from Rooney's past. She's the figure, the person who oversaw Rooney's childhood training, a matriarchal figure who twisted her own students into assassins. The reveal is loaded with a chilling irony. The very person who shaped Rooney into a weapon is the one who set her on this path of vengeance. The tension in the room is suffocating, a silent battle of wills. The soft ticking of an antique clock on the mantelpiece is the only sound, each tick amplifying the weight of their history. The director, utterly unfazed by Rooney's violent entrance, calmly sips her tea, a cruel smile playing on her lips, revealing the true depth of her manipulative nature. Her voice, when she finally speaks, is a silken whip, explaining her motives with chilling detachment, essentially confirming she orchestrated the massacre of Rooney's family as a lesson or consolidation of power. The coldness in her voice is a physical chill, seeping into Rooney's very bones. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about a shattered past, a poisoned legacy. Talk about an awkward family reunion. Like really awkward. The director, with a dismissive flick of her wrist, signals her elite personal guards, a cadre of silent, utterly ruthless assassins, each one a master of the blade. The opulent office instantly transforms into a deadly arena. The air practically hums with the metallic whisper of throwing knives being drawn. Rooney, her eyes blazing with a mixture of fury and focused intent, is immediately on the defensive. The clatter of multiple knives against the marble floor, the sharp whoosh as they narrowly miss her head, it's a symphony of deadly intent. She moves with an almost supernatural speed, deflecting a barrage of blades with a retrieved piece of sheet metal, sparks flying with each impact. The glint of steel, the blur of movement, the sheer number of opponents, it's overwhelming. But Rooney is more than ready. Her movements are a desperate, yet elegant, dance of survival. The close quarters amplify the danger, forcing her to utilize every inch of space, every piece of furniture, as both weapon and shield. The grunts of effort, the sharp gasps of pain, the sickening squelch of blades finding their mark on soft targets. Not Rooney. Thankfully, it's a brutal ballet of close-range combat. You can almost feel the wind from the passing blades, the heat of her exertion. It's not just a fight, it's a test of endurance and skill, and Rooney is passing with flying colors, though probably with a few new scratches to show for it. I bet those guys didn't even get a thank you for their troubles, just as Rooney finds herself in a precarious, near impossible bind, cornered by a seemingly endless stream of knife-wielding maniacs. A familiar, welcome shadow detaches itself from the periphery. Yes, folks, the man, the myth, the legend himself, John Wick, makes his dramatic, utterly badass entrance. The distinct, muffled whip of his silenced pistol rings out, followed by a rapid-fire series of precise headshots that drop several of the director's elite guards with chilling efficiency. It's a ballet of bullets, each one finding its mark. With an almost poetic inevitability, the sheer speed and precision of his movements are breathtaking, a stark contrast to the more fluid, but equally deadly, style of Rooney. There's no grand entrance speech, no dramatic declaration, just a quiet, brutal efficiency that speaks volumes. The sudden, deafening silence after his initial barrage is almost as impactful as the gunfire itself. He creates a vital opening. For Rooney, a moment of shared, unspoken understanding passing between the two legendary assassins. A single nod, a fleeting glance, and they are allies, at least for this particular bloodbath. You can almost feel the air crackle with the combined gravitas of these two figures. It's like watching two super predators decide to hunt together. Get ready, bad guys, because things just went from bad to you're absolutely toast. He's like the ultimate +1 for a fight. With John Wick now in the mix, the scene escalates into a breathtaking, synchronized dance of death. Their styles, while distinct, melt together into an unstoppable force. Rooney's balletic grace, her acrobatic evasion, and her devastating close quarters strikes perfectly complement Wick's relentless, almost robotic efficiency with firearms. The crack pop of Wick's pistol covers Rooney as she executes a low sweep kick, taking out a guard's legs with a sickening crunch. The two move as one, a seamless, flowing wave of destruction, each anticipating the other's moves with an almost telepathic understanding. The impact of their combined force is overwhelming, reducing the remaining guards to mere obstacles in their path. The metallic clang of a dropped weapon, the grunt of an expiring foe, the rapid cycling of a pistol slide, every sound underscores the brutal symphony of their teamwork. They clear rooms with chilling speed, a hurricane of bullets, and bone-breaking strikes. It's a masterclass in choreographed violence, a visual feast for anyone who appreciates the art of action. You can practically feel the concussive force of their blows, the slickness of the blood on the floor, the sheer, unadulterated terror radiating from their adversaries. Honestly, if these two ever opened a security firm, I'd feel pretty safe. Or terrified, depending on which side of the desk you're on. Finally, the moment of truth arrives. Rooney, with Wick covering her six, closes in on the director. The old woman, stripped of her guards and her icy composure, attempts a desperate, final attack, a hidden blade, a poisoned dart, something equally insidious. But Rooney, anticipating the move, deflects it with a speed born of years of training and a burning desire for retribution. The air crackles with tension, a final, deadly face-off between student and twisted master. The soft swish of the director's final, desperate attempt, the sharp clang as Rooney blocks it with a retrieved piece of office decor. These are the sounds of an end. The ensuing struggle is short, brutal, and deeply personal. Rooney, using her balletic training, twists, turns, and counters, ultimately delivering a precise, devastating blow that brings the director down. There's no fanfare, no dramatic monologue, just a cold, hard finality. The thud of the director's body hitting the polished floor is the only sound, echoing in the now silent office. Wick, ever the silent observer, watches with an unreadable expression, a witness to a justice long overdue. The camera lingers on Rooney's face, a complex mix of sorrow, relief, and grim satisfaction. Next to the director's lifeless hand lies a single, discarded ballet slipper, a poignant symbol of their intertwined, ultimately tragic, history. Revenge, it turns out, is a dish best served with a side of existential dread. Who knew? In the quiet, eerie aftermath of the bloodshed, as the first tendrils of dawn begin to filter through the shattered windows, Winston and Karen arrive. They survey the director's ruined office, a scene of absolute devastation, with a quiet, almost approving air. The metallic tang of gunpowder and blood still hangs heavy, a stark reminder of the night's brutal events. Winston, ever the pragmatist, takes in the scene, his gaze lingering on the lifeless form of the director, a subtle smirk playing on his lips. Karen, as always, is a pillar of stoicism, his gaze sweeping over the carnage with professional detachment. Winston offers Rooney a subtle, almost imperceptible nod, a gesture that speaks volumes, acknowledging her new, formidable standing within the intricate, brutal ecosystem of the underworld. It's a silent recognition of her power, her ruthlessness, and her undeniable place among the apex predators. The gentle clinking of debris underfoot is the only sound, amplifying the weight of the moment. The defeat of the director has sent shockwaves through the high table, destabilizing a system that thrives on order and control. Rooney has not just exacted revenge, she has fundamentally altered the balance of power, a ripple effect that will undoubtedly lead to more chaos. You can almost feel the tremor in the underworld. A new queen has taken her bloody crown. and everyone thought my family dinners were dramatic. Days later, the once ruined office of the director has been meticulously cleaned, polished, and restored. The air, though no longer thick with the scent of blood, still carries the heavy weight of power and responsibility. Rooney sits at the grand desk, now hers, a pristine, perfectly tailored suit replacing her blood-stained battle gear. The stark contrast highlights her transformation, not just from avenging angel to leader, but from a pawn to a queen on this deadly chessboard. The silence in the room is profound, broken only by the soft rustle of papers as she flips through ancient ledgers, now her burden. Her expression is complex, a mix of triumph, weariness, and a deep, underlying pensive contemplation. She has been offered, or perhaps simply taken, the mantle of interim director of the Ruska Roma. The irony isn't lost on us. She sought to destroy the system that took her family, only to find herself at its very heart. The weight of the world, or at least this dark corner of it, now rests on her shoulders. The metallic click of a pen, the soft thud of a heavy book being closed, these small sounds underscore the immense responsibility she now bears. She fought to break free, only to be drawn deeper into the web. It's a grim reminder that vengeance often comes with an unexpected, heavy price, turning the hunter into the hunted, or in this case, the hunted into the reluctant shepherd. Who knew being an assassin could lead to so much paperwork? In a poignant, melancholic close to her immediate journey, we find Rooney in a quiet, rain-soaked cemetery. The sky is a bruised gray, mirroring the lingering sorrow in her heart, even after her quest for vengeance is complete. The rhythmic patter of rain on the leaves, the soft squelch of her boots on the damp earth, these are the only sounds in this sacred space. She walks among the weathered stones, a solitary figure cloaked in introspection, until she reaches a simple, unmarked gravestone. It's a quiet testament to the anonymity and tragedy of her family's end. With a delicate, almost reverent gesture, she places a single, vibrant red rose on the cold stone. The stark contrast of the rose's vivid color against the muted tones of the cemetery is striking, a symbol of lingering life and love amidst the pervasive death. Her expression is unreadable, a complex tapestry of triumph, regret, and the heavy burden of what she has become. This isn't just a farewell to her family. It's a quiet acknowledgement of the profound cost of her vengeance, a somber acceptance of the sacrifices made. The deafening silence after she places the rose is weighted with untold stories, with tears unshed and words unspoken. It's a beautiful, somber, and deeply human moment, reminding us that even the most hardened assassins carry their grief. It's the kind of scene that makes you pause and actually think, instead of just marveling at the sheer number of headshots. Which, let's be honest, we all did for most of the movie. As the sun breaches the horizon, painting the sprawling city skyline in hues of gold and rose, we return to Rooney in her new, imposing office. This final image encapsulates her journey and sets the stage for what's next. The heavy glass of the skyscraper reflects the new dawn, a symbolic mirror to the new chapter in her life. The gentle hum of the city awakening is a stark contrast to the quiet resolve now etched on her face. She looks out, not with the burning rage of the Avenger, but with the calm, determined gaze of a leader. A faint, almost imperceptible smile plays on her lips, a testament to the fact that while her past actions were driven by revenge, her future will be defined by something more. This isn't a happy ending in the traditional sense, but it's an ending of acceptance, of taking control. It signifies her understanding of the power she now wields, the responsibilities that come with it, and the uncertain, yet undeniably compelling path that lies ahead. The wind down isn't about definitive closure, but about the relentless forward motion of life, even in the darkest of worlds. It's about facing the horizon, whatever dangers it may bring, with unwavering courage and the fierce elegance of a true ballerina of chaos. This intricate dance of power and identity, while bloody, reveals a profound truth. Even in seeking vengeance, one can forge a new purpose, a new path, and perhaps a new kind of peace. Life, much like a perfectly executed pirouette, is a balance of control, grace, and an unstoppable forward momentum. It's about not just surviving the storm, but learning to dance in the rain, and perhaps even finding your own unique rhythm in the chaos. So here's to Rooney, the ballerina who pirouetted straight into our hearts and onto the high table. What a journey, right? It leaves you with so much to ponder, so many questions about the cost of justice and the nature of power. It's a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the world, there's a powerful, often brutal, kind of beauty to be found in the strength of the human spirit. Keep dancing, folks, even if it's just in your living room.